just in time for the holiday season. We're watching Die Hard here on the Movie Club with friends. One of the best Christmas movies ever. To me, it's a little off topic, but A Christmas Story is my favorite, then Home Alone, then Die Hard.
You like Christmas Story more than Home Alone? Really?
Yeah, I really...
You were a child of the 90s.
I
think that
really,
way.
really like A Christmas Story.
I cannot stand The Christmas Story.
Wow. But we're talking about Die Hard. Things are going to be a little weird in this episode. There's going to be a lot of editing. Johnny's going to go first, even though it's a Garrett pick. Johnny has to go. Garrett's not here. We're going to talk to Garrett after. So, Johnny, let's hear from you first. How did you like Die Hard?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So a little bit of backstory. I've seen bits and pieces of this movie during the holidays. My stepdad would always just have it playing, and I don't know. I just never felt any interest in watching it because it was like not from my generation. It felt like just the effects didn't seem very realistic whenever I first wanted to like watch it with him. So sitting down and actually like dissecting the movie, I actually got like more enjoyment out of it this time around. I would probably give this movie 7. I want to give it an 8, but there's a few things in this movie that just kind of pissed me off. Like, I'll let Jeff have the one that I was thinking of. But before those bad things, I'll just go with like probably my favorite part of the movie, which was the scene whenever like Hans Gruber and Bruce Willis, John McClane, first meet. Like when they very first meet, did you guys like appreciate that part? Like, I don't know, it was just like,
yes, that's actually one of like the better parts of the film, because Hans Gruber is just a solid villain in my opinion. So
in,
like I do
the air conditioning room.
Yeah, and he like immediately fakes being one of the prisoners or whatever. And like, do you guys think John McClane like knew exactly like he was faking it the whole time, or did he like try to give him a chance?
Once they showed the they alluded to him picking his name from, what was it, Clay something with a B?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, John McClane's not going to give him a gun that's fully loaded. Or has any bullets on it.
I think probably just talking to him more, he kind of just picked up on his shitty accent.
Yeah.
Which was really, it's funny that I don't think Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber accent was actually that bad. I thought it felt pretty.
No, his American accent.
I thought it felt.
I thought it was kind of bad.
You thought the American accent?
I think at the beginning it was good, but it went away.
It
after
did go
a while.
away after.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where he figured it out.
Apparently, as a side note, I'm always just trivia, but apparently, they inserted that into the script after they found out that Alan Rickman was proficient, they said, at mimicking accent. So after they found that out, they're like, oh, cool, now we have a way for them to meet, because they weren't really sure how they were going to
meet without just shooting each other.
Yeah.
It was like a climax before the climax kind of part. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But the one thing that like made me mad about that was like he could have ended this a lot sooner. Like when he like started radioing to his friends, he could have turned around and just shot him in the head. Like, or there was no reason for him to just sit there and talk to him.
When the elevator opens and his buddy starts shooting at him, just shoot Hans and then run.
Yeah. There was absolutely no reason for that. I don't know.
I agree. I'll talk about it myself.
Okay. Other than that, pretty solid movie. I don't know. Just a few scenes that irritate me, or like bad movie visual effects. Like whenever he's out when he's trying to get all of the prisoners like back down off the roof because it's like loaded with explosives. Like you can clearly see all of like the fake trips of like the explosions. Like whenever the gunfire is like raining down on him.
Or even like the sounds of like the bullets and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Like obviously, like that's me nitpicking it because what this movie came out in. I don't know. I can't remember for the early like.
Me and Julie were laughing because he's like, "I'm one of the good guys," but it's like he was waving his hands, shooting a gun up in the air. Like,
How the hell would anyone think you're a good guy?
Yeah.
Huh? How would
I think
you're on the top of this building where all of these hostages are shooting at people like, "Oh, get away!" Like all these bullets. That is the dumbest scene I've ever seen in a goddamn movie. Like,
I think,
I'm a good guy.
I think he was just screaming that out of like, just like out of stress, like out of the stress of the situation.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I can totally understand it.
Okay.
But like, I don't know. Like
this movie came out in 1988.
Yeah, so the effects just weren't there at the time. I understand. I get it.
Yeah, but when he throws the computer chair down the elevator shaft, it's pretty brutal.
Oh, dude. Yeah, and then like the FBI agents, they were so hot-headed in my opinion, and I just hated that about them because
the cops are too dumb, and then the FBI are too hot-headed.
The scene where like he's like, "I'm in charge here," and then the fucking FBI guy. It was such like a classic scene. It was like, "Not anymore."
So one of the things that it's funny because I talked to one of my friends about this today. He actually he slightly made me feel a little bit more positive about this movie than I was feeling because he made a good point that this movie has inspired so many action movies.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things I was just like, oh well, that was so lame, you know, like oh, not anymore. And he was just like, Julie, you have to remember this started that. Like this is where those stereotypes have come from. Like that's why this is why this is such like it was like a cultural phenomenon because for action movies like that, it started it. And I'm like, okay, that's true. So to me, I was like, the novelty just seems like I don't know, it's too cheesy. But like it's the thing that started it. So I guess.
All I can think of is South Park whenever he said that.
When they're playing cops. Yeah.
Yeah. And the FBI kids come.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, one of the things, like, since we were on the topic of the FBI agents, one of the things that I don't like about the movie is that I do feel like it painted law enforcement in such a bad light.
Yeah.
Really surprising, because, like,
just
so many people
LA law enforcement.
I guess that's true, but, like...
But why?
Yeah, like, I shit on LA so much. It's so dumb to me. And, but like it's weird to me because I know so many people in law enforcement that really love these movies, and so I was surprised. Like I think I was expecting it to be like very pro law enforcement. I guess I know he's a police officer, but other than him and
the dad from
the dad from Family Matters.
Yeah, Family Matters.
The Sergeant Al Powell. Everyone else was like a really like big asshole and.
Well,
like
the guy,
all the other law enforcement were.
The first guy above him is just an idiot. Like he's so dumb. Like how does he have that job?
I don't know. But it's funny because to me, I couldn't think about I'm like, why do I immediately hate this guy? And I'm like, oh yeah, he's the principal in the Breakfast Club.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I was like, I just hate you immediately. I'm like, why?
Well, and you know, I guess if the cops were intelligent and they could handle the situation, well then John McClane wouldn't really be the hero.
Yeah.
I guess. I just feel like it painted them slightly too negative, and the FBI agents. Okay, like what the scene when they're in the helicopter and they're like, yeah, like I suspect at least a 50% loss of hostage life. Oh, yeah. And they're like, I could live with that. I'm like, really? Really? That's what they're gonna say?
Yeah. Because the FBI are the true villains.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'll let other people go, but I'll just chime in every once in a while too.
Okay. I guess I'll go next. This is an 8 for me. I love it. I've seen it a lot. I really like
why not a 9? Sorry.
Because like I talked about in, I don't know, a previous episode. I wouldn't put it a 9. I don't think it would make it into my top 10. Which 9 and 10s are my top 10s. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
That is the best description I've ever heard.
Anyways, I really like 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you guys haven't seen them, you should see them because they're all great. They're all really different from each other. People really hated 4 when it came out, but it honestly has some of the best scenes in the entire series. But we're talking about Die Hard 1. What do I like about Die Hard 1? John McClane is amazing. He's hilarious. He's always making jokes. When he calls him cowboy, and he's just like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Like, it's the best line in the movie. It becomes his catchphrase. Alan Rickman's good. I really like the 80s businessman friend who tries to like talk his way out of it.
Porn star guy.
The cokehead?
Yeah. Just because he's such a shitty character, and he does that role really well.
He's such a typical 80s douchebag.
Yeah.
Like,
and he really pulled off that role. He did a really good
I'm
job.
almost positive that is his personality. Like, he pulled it off so well.
Yeah. Yeah, the action's great. Actually, so we're all of us here. We're going to Japan in May. I want to try the taking the shoes off and walking around on carpet when we get off the plane. So you have to remind me. I want to see if that works.
What? I don't know if I remember this.
So
At the very start of the movie.
very start of the movie, he's beside that guy and they're talking, and he tells him to walk around barefoot on carpet and make fists with your feet, and that will help you like
Get acclimated.
Yeah. And that's why for the entire movie he doesn't have shoes on.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I don't really know what to say. It's just a solid action movie. There's not a lot to talk about in action movies, I think, other than if you enjoyed it or not, because it's just about the action. And the action is really good. The characters are really entertaining. And yeah, I will cut in if I have something to say.
Good.
So, Julius.
I think I'm giving it a 4.
Oh,
You are out of your mind. It's because she's a girl, guys. She doesn't get it.
No.
what?
Fuck.
It's a boys' movie.
That is not true. I think I was just like really disappointed. I think I had.
Have you not seen it before?
No, this is the first time, and I think my expectations were like at a 20, and I was very disappointed. And so like I said, like I think it's even better. Like I can probably move it up to a 5 after I had like that conversation with my friend about like, okay, you have to understand it like help make a lot of the movies that you love. And I'm like, okay, cool, like that's true. But it like to me the dialogue, and I think this was probably to me one of the worst Bruce Willis movies I've seen. Like with his acting, like that's how I really
so
feel like his
good
dialogue.
in it.
Like to me, his dialogue and everything, it just seems so off and like weird and awkward, and it just seemed really forced. Like I hated every phone call that he made to the other police officer. Every single phone call, like, yeah, man, blah 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 blah, like I don't know. Every single time I heard him talk, I just heard like
He's in this fucking terrible situation, and this is his calming
no,
little
but like I
moments.
I know he was like trying to like, oh, he's like a New Yorker. I'm a New Yorker, and I'm like, I just hated the way he talked so much, and I hated it, and like I thought that the way that they did like weird character development in I'm gonna say weird character development in this movie just seemed really off. They're like we're in the middle of the scene. He's calling this police officer, and he's just like, yeah, man, like, what happened? Why? Why don't you shoot a gun anymore? I could tell by the way you slowly drove around the parking lot that you had some issues. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I guess he could tell that the police officer really is dealing with things because of the way he drove around a parking lot. Like, seems dumb. It's just so dumb to me, like, how they tried to do their character development. I don't know. Like, I think the best part of this movie and the reason why I had moments of enjoyment was because I think I do good.
You cut out there,
Yeah, you
Joe.
were cutting out.
Oh, what part did you hear? Villain
You
was
cut
good. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, what was good?
The villain was good.
Oh, the villain was good.
Yeah, I do think Alan Rickman did a pretty good job. But even he, to me, I've thought some of the lines and things that he said were pretty cheesy. But overall, like, I think that he was developed, like, the villain was developed well, and his scene seemed pretty interesting to me. But my favorite part was when he met John McClane, because to me, like, you could, like, the way that they filmed it, they very much toned into Alan Rickman's, like, facial expressions on, like, you could see that he's trying to assess John McClane and try to figure him out more. And that is my favorite thing about the film, that, like, that Alan Rickman's like, who is this guy? Like, who is this stranger? Like, why is he here? Like, what's his motive? And, like, I loved that. That's the part that I loved. I'm like, I loved Alan Rickman trying to figure out his motive. All his other, like, henchmen, like, were just like whatever. Like, they were okay. Like, but, like, you could tell, like, Alan Rickman is the leader because he is legitimately the smart, like, painted as the smartest one. And the one that's really trying to figure things out. Him and the guy from Walker, Texas Ranger, the villain guy. Theo? Yeah, Theo.
Which one's
The
Theo?
one that-
the security
The one that
guard?
had, like, the glasses. No, the one that had the glasses.
Black guy.
Oh, the
black
black
guy.
one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other villain that I'm talking about. Oh, and I forgot to mention, like, the driver. I did like his part.
Argyle?
but-
Yeah, Argyle's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's over here just, like, not paying attention. Then finally he's like, yeah, I'm a hero. I did stuff.
He's a good guy for waiting on Bruce Willis for like 10 hours.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Man,
Yeah.
this guy is having the night of his life, apparently.
No kidding. I did really enjoy those parts too. I thought that was funny. But even his, like I said, like, a lot of his jokes seem kind of cheesy. Like, even his jokes seem slightly cheesy to me. I had such high expectations, you guys, and I've seen a lot of 80s movies. A lot. Like, I think that's another reason why that I had high expectations. So I was just assuming it was going to be like, I don't know, like the other movies I've seen. Whatever. Yep. Yep.
One thing I thought about, the scenes where he's on top of the elevator, and then the scene where he, like, props the gun in that shaft, and he's, like, going down the shaft on the rope or whatever. Those scenes always had me, like, on edge.
Oh my god, the scene where the first time he was using the rifle, the gun, and, like, the thing connected to the gun, the strap connected to the gun, my hands were, like, literally sweating. I was like,
Yeah.
this is fucking...
It's intense.
Oh, I did like the classic, like, now I have a machine gun.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, that's
Like,
awesome.
That was awesome. I was just like, oh, I finally saw this scene. It's awesome. And I liked seeing when Hans Gruber died. And I was like, yeah, I finally see this. That
Do you like how
made all the memes.
they came back with the Rolex?
Yeah, which was funny. I'm like,
What?
So in the beginning of the movie, the business guy is telling
the cokehead.
the wife that, like, show him the Rolex we bought, and then to save the day, he's like undoes the Rolex and it's lost forever.
That's hilarious. Actually, I didn't even notice that. That's funny.
Yeah, so let's hear from Grabbis.
This is why people don't know our names, Mike.
Yeah, just start saying Gabe.
So overall, I liked it. much more than Julie. I'll probably give it probably a 7. And yeah, I guess I'll just kind of get into it. There were certain things. Just going off Julie's last point there. Argyle. That I will admit though, that scene with Argyle ramming into the car, and then it seemed a little awkward. He just gets out of the car and just punches the guy.
Yeah, he's okay.
And then he just starts smiling for himself.
And he starts smiling. It was like such a I don't want to say forced but it just felt awkward to me. But at the same time, I was just kind of laughing about it. Like, did that just happen? Yeah. I agree with you guys' points on the FBI. How they were painted unrealistically hot-headed and stupid and just full of themselves. And the head chief was asking the dumb questions. Oh my god, he was one of the worst characters. He was, oh my god, what was it where he was trying to say, oh no, John McClane's probably one of them, and he's like, he started saying, oh, it's probably like this and this and this, and I was like, that's more unrealistic than what this guy's trying to tell you, Bruce Willis is.
Yeah.
I was like, that's ridiculous right there. So he just, the whole movie, and I get it, they're painting him like that, but he had some really stupid lines that I had to do double takes for. Bruce Willis was good. I guess this is a good movie to watch Bruce Willis in.
Yes.
Although I do think he did have some cheesy lines. I get it. Some of them were like the start of the whole saga of...
And at the same time, like, 80s cheese, like, that was just... It was just part of the time, man. Like,
well, hey, man, this has no nostalgic value for me, so I have to kind of think of it from my perspective. So, that's the other thing is that because this didn't have any nostalgic value, I tried to discount, or I guess like take into account the time of the, like, it was 1998, 88, and the graphics and everything couldn't be the best.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think if this was made, in the last 5-10 years, and I might give it an 8 or something, because it was a little too much for me to, like, I can't give it a higher grade because of that. And,
well, I'll tell you, the Die Hard 5 is actually fucking terrible, and that was made, I think, 8 years ago.
Oh, okay. This may be an unpopular opinion, but the Family Matters guy, I didn't like his acting at all.
There's a reason why he's on TV and not in movies.
I don't know, but I didn't like his character that much. I don't know. I didn't like much about his character and himself during the whole movie. I thought his acting, like, I don't know if it was he tried to pronunciate his words too much, or it felt like maybe he over-prepared for his lines.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't feel right. And at the very end, his scene where he shot the German guy, I was like, of course they got to fucking have that at the end. But at the same time, I'm like, if they didn't have that, I would have liked this movie more, because I did not like that part.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's rewatching it. They really didn't need that part. Like, oh, now he's going to be a cop that will shoot people? Again? Like,
he accidentally killed a 13-year-old boy.
Like, oh, he'll start drawing his weapon again. Like, that's not really a good thing.
Exactly.
Very heated debate topic, but
Yeah.
I do think it's funny how relatable it is about with shooting the 13-year-old kid on accident.
Like,
And unfortunately, it's relatable to today too, even though it was,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if he is a white cop, oh my god.
Let's see. I got one of my last points here was one of the things I really liked about the movie that Julie was one of the things she really liked was I thought the bad guys were really good. As far as, like, they had a smart plan for how they were going to get out of there and everything. I just hated their motive. It was strictly for robbing and getting rich, and they were part of some revolutionary group, and I was like, oh, okay, it's like to fund their, revolutionary endeavors across the world. But he said in the movie, oh, we're just, we're going to be on a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
well,
whatever.
He was kicked out of that movement, I think.
Yeah, I think I had heard something like that in the movie. But as far as the plan, I really liked the idea that they were going to try to, get everybody up top. The FBI was going to see them, be like, "Oh, okay, let's land," and then blow the whole thing up, and they get away with the ambulance. That's a pretty good bad guy plan.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, that's really good." So that was smart of them. And I guess my last point would be, I know why Michael really likes this movie, and it's because it's a classic Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
That's got a Hollywood ending.
I'm never gonna live it down for saying that.
No,
Because this movie does have a fucking. This movie has, at the very end, all the cops are trying to say, "Oh, you're not getting away. We got to get you. We got to talk to you," and he like shoves them off for a second, and then he gets with his wife, and they just drive off. Like that.
There's no way. There's no way they get away. No, and again, I just didn't know how to say that in other words. Okay, I didn't mean to be as pretentious as it came off.
Yeah. I just had to bring that up. So.
Yeah, no, but that's a good point. Them just getting into the ambulance and leaving, that wouldn't happen. Like, they wouldn't let that happen.
Dude, and like that brings me to like the whole husband and wife thing too is really weird to me and just very awfully executed in my opinion as well. So
I'll tell you by Die Hard 3, they are no longer together.
The relationship didn't seem as rocky as I would have anticipated it being. When they first met, she was like really wanting him to come. Like, "Oh, we have a
like another fucking cheesy line was like, "Oh, John's still alive." Like, how do you know? Because no one tried that crazy like John does. I'm like, really? That's how you know your husband's alive. That's dumb. I'm very animated about this. I just like, why? Why did you have to say things like the fact that I'm not even like reading quotes. I'm like legitimately remembering how it went. Like to just shows like for some reason like are imprinted of how awful they were.
Okay. Jeff?
Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the scene that John was referencing earlier. And it's the scene where John McClane first radios into the police, and the police are like, "Attention to whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only." And John responds, "No fucking shit, Lee, does it sound like I'm ordering a pizza?" I laughed for a goddamn 10 minutes. I had to rewind it 3 times. I was dying when I heard it. When I heard that line, I was so unprepared for it. And just the way his inflections, went, it was just so perfect.
That was a good line. I really like it.
And like, I just
Fucking shit, lady.
I couldn't stand the operators because he's like, "Yeah, it is an emergency," and they're like, "Oh, we don't believe you." And then they hear then they hear gunshots, and it's like, "Oh,
Maybe
we'll
you should
send
someone
one
to drive
person
by."
out.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe
you
send someone-
had a fake fire alarm, or you had a fire alarm go off. They tell you it's a fake. You're like, okay, now you have someone calling in and being like, "What the hell are you doing? This is an emergency. Gunshots," and they're like, "I don't know. Still, it's not that fishy." Like, just send everyone.
That's what I mean. I should have. I guess like dispatchers are part of law enforcement too. So, but yeah, that's what I mean. Like they painted them so badly. I'm like, come on.
It's just
Dispatchers aren't going to be like that. Like dispatchers are good people. Like law enforcement are good people. Like of course there's bad people mixed in everywhere. But like no, that would not happen.
They're just dumb, and it's like this. And also, it's like this $1 million company's skyscraper, and you have these 2 things going on. You wouldn't be like, maybe they're getting robbed. I don't know.
Besides that, I would grade it probably. I grade it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. I liked the suspenseful parts. I didn't find the lines like super cheesy. I don't know. I kind of went with it. It was an older movie, so I just assumed those lines were the in kind of thing during that time or whatever. unlike
I
this
don't
one.
know. I don't know.
But
I've watched so many 80s, and I don't know. Just this wasn't the one for me.
I actually wasn't impressed as much with the villains as you guys.
Really?
I thought they were. I don't know. I thought the head honcho guy. I thought Hans was way too lax, and I thought his subordinates were literally the fucking opposite of him. And I thought that was dumb. I thought that was retarded. I was like, either they all need to be like professionals, or none of them can be professionals. Because Hans was like this fucking businessman, professional villain, where these other guys seemed like the retarded henchmen that you hire off of mercenaries.com.
That's
Isn't that typical? That's very typical.
Yeah, it is.
But still, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. Like
Well,
they're supposed to be these high class villains and whatnot, and then you got fucking my brother died. You fucking knew the risks when you walked in there, buddy.
Dude,
Jeff,
if your brother died, I think you'd be pretty fucking pissed.
But and then also,
Yes.
Jeff, as a leader, you
Right.
should know that you have people for all situations, right? So you got your muscle, you got your brains, you had the hacker, you had like.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the brains, I fucking loved their hacker character.
Yeah.
All of his lines I thought were just fantastic. Everything he said, his
did like
personality, I loved it. I loved every scene.
Didn't bring me along for my charming good looks or whatever.
I actually even
Personality.
I like when they first introduced him. Actually, like when it's sad that they killed that innocent security guard. But whenever they're first coming in and they're like, yeah, blah blah blah, like talking about like a party, and they're like, and bam, and like I don't know, I'm like, whoa,
That was so
I was
smooth.
not anticipating. It's very smooth, like very, very like to me, like that was very realistically villain-esque, because they wouldn't like wait around or like draw it out. So.
Julie, you keep saying you've seen 80s movies. Have you seen Lethal Weapon?
But not in a really long time. I think I was probably a kid when I saw Lethal Weapon.
Okay, just because that's like the other 80s action movie that was like really big, and I just wanted to know if you liked Die Hard more or Lethal Weapon, but if you haven't seen it in a while, then don't worry.
I want to say I'm pretty sure I like Lethal Weapon more. I know I watched Lethal Weapon probably too much. My mom had a crush on Mel Gibson for a while.
Whose mom didn't have a crush on Mel Gibson? That was also my mom's favorite.
Because she really. I think I remember Lethal Weapon being funny. Is it funny?
It is.
I haven't
funny.
watched it in a while.
It's very funny. It's a lot like Die Hard, but it's more of a buddy cop movie. So.
Yeah, I remember liking it as a kid. I don't have to see it again, but I think I think if my memory serves me correctly, I probably like Lethal Weapon more, but I can't tell you for sure.
Yeah.
I also want to talk about how Hans just would kill the people that he was trying to get information from and nothing else. Why didn't he torture them? He for sure could have gotten information out of that fucking Japanese guy. Had to like pull his fingernails one at a time or something, or he could have convinced John McClane to come down if he had fucking tortured the guy and left the radio on. Like seriously, he could have gotten a lot of stuff.
There's a different level of villainy for torture. Like, this is getting into like probably like a weird off topic, but like villains have like I don't know, like there are people who are psychotic.
That's worse than torture.
But killing is kill people. A lot of good people kill people. Like that's where you have like the military and like law enforcement stuff. But people who torture are like genuinely evil to me. Like
I think it was probably more of his like intelligence and his arrogance. He was full of himself, so he was like, "You're not gonna fucking tell me what I want. Bam, you're dead. I can do this without you. I don't fucking need you. Like I have this all figured out." Kind of thing.
It would have been a lot easier with torture, though.
Why are you reverting? I'm kind of worried about you, Jeff. Reverting to torture.
I think that would be the optimal way to go if I were him.
Like, I mean, I feel like you're comparing Hans Gruber to me to what's the bad guy in Silence of the Lambs. Like. Hannibal Lecter. Like they're very different villains, Jeff. Like very different villains.
So Lecter.
Oh. Now they have your last name out there. Now, what's more inhuman, killing or torturing?
I think it's torture.
I think it's torture too. It's a different level.
So
I think it's killing.
You think it would be easier to kill someone than to like torture someone for like a few hours? You would much rather just like shoot them
Which would
dead.
you rather do? Would you rather torture someone or would you rather kill someone?
What
I'd
do you
rather
mean by that?
If you had to choose,
Is it your friend?
Okay, yeah, so no, complete stranger. You know nothing about them.
Stranger.
Yeah, and
you either have to kill that person or torture them nonstop for like 4 hours. And you gotta like waterboard them, pull their fingernails.
Well, obviously
shock
one's
them.
more. Okay. So one is obviously more permanent, the killing, right?
Yes.
But there's a different level of actually like sitting there for 2 hours and being a bad guy and being like, oh, I could just kill this person or I could torture them, think up ways to hurt them and to destroy their body rather than just, a half-second decision to shoot them in the head. Those are two different things, in my opinion.
I think I would have an easier time just one bullet in the head, they're just gone, than to like listen to them being like, please stop, please, and like having to like rip someone's like fingernail out. I couldn't do that. That would hurt me.
No, like I could not. Could not, like it reminds me of like the Pan's Labyrinth villain, who was so good too. But the Pan's Labyrinth villain, like he was there like torturing. He's like, he had all his tools out. He's like, like first we'll be, first we won't really be friends, but then we're gonna be as close as brothers. And then I'm like, that person is psychotic, crazy. He's a villain to the core. Like Hans Gruber is just a guy that just really wants his money, and he's gonna kill people to get past, but he's not gonna torture them.
He's not. That's a good point. He's just not that kind of villain. He's not.
But another thing is, there's different levels of torture. Let's not get too far into this. But anyway, I see what you guys are saying about Hans not being that kind of a villain, and I'll agree. But I just didn't care for the dynamic between Hans and his subordinates, and just how they were. I enjoyed John McClane's character a lot. I thought all of the fighting scenes were fun. I thought the dynamic between him and the cop down there was pretty. I enjoyed when the body fell in the car and he was backing up. What did he say? Like, we're lighting up my car like Swiss cheese. Get back up here now, goddammit!
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I thought it was an enjoyable movie.
A thought that came to my head, though, Jeff, is why wouldn't Hans just bring someone that's good at torturing?
That's another good point.
But what I'm going to say is time restraints, right? He just didn't figure he had the time to, like, what if this guy didn't break?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good point, actually. I really like that point.
Yeah.
I think that's majority of what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, so now this is where Garrett will talk. And then now... Okay, so this is our cut-in. Garrett, tell us, why you picked Die Hard, and what'd you think of it?
I picked Die Hard just because post Christmas, and it's the classic Christmas movie that I've never seen.
Never seen it before.
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
Interesting.
And yeah, I enjoyed most of it. I'd probably give it like an 8 because it was just 8 liked. Maybe that's going too high. I don't know. I liked it quite a bit. Mainly, well, not mainly, but because I like Alan Rickman a lot, and the fact that he was the bad guy in this one in Die Hard was, I I don't know. Just I like Alan Rickman. And then every time there was like some sort of reference, like Nakatomi Tower or like the names of all the villains, it made me think of Brooklyn Nine-Nine because of Jake Peralta and his
none of you guys talked
his
about Brooklyn.
obsession. His
Right.
obsession with Die Hard.
Another reason why we
that's-
had to watch it.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason why my interest in watching it was because of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, I knew about the freaking tower, like, because he said it so much. In
Yeah.
Nine-Nine.
By the way, is that wasn't that's used by like businesses, right? And they
It's
just-
actually at the Fox Century, 20th Century Fox headquarters is there. And they're the ones who made the movie, and they actually. It's funny though, when they did like the billing for themselves, like they still charge themselves for staying for using those facilities. Yeah,
Why?
because it wasn't finished, and like I don't know. Talk to the accountant, man. Like I don't understand why they charge things.
Yeah, that's tough. But I think my favorite scene, just because I've seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, was the vent. Whenever he comes through the vent, just because there's that one episode where I think Jake wants to go in the vent but doesn't get to because something happens. I don't know.
Now I know what a can of tuna feels like.
Yeah.
I don't get that. Why is it can
'cause they're-
They're in the
can
tin
of tuna feel like that?
Because
They're in a tin can.
they're all
Oh,
packed into a thing of metal like he was.
But yeah, I liked it quite a bit. It's just kind of like stereotypical action movie, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
it's basically what I said was just it's good action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what else to say about it, honestly.
well, I'm glad
yeah.
you liked it.
I liked it. It was good. I had to watch it online because my computer doesn't have a workable DVD drive. So,
You could have watched it in the living room.
last night was when I watched it, and Alex and
Oh,
Uh,
that's right.
Should I
So, yeah,
ask?
but-
Should I ask Garrett the question that I asked you guys?
yes. I don't remember what question.
What would you rather do, Garrett?
Oh no,
Yeah, no, let's not get into that.
now I want to know though.
I'll tell
talk
you.
about it
after,
offline.
yeah.
We had a very long conversation about how torture.
We got
not
off
torturing.
topic today.
I see.
It was Jeff's fault, by the way. That was not us. Anyway, we learned some dark things about Jeff. Stay away from him if you ever need to be tortured.
You guys haven't seen real battle.
Yeah, I'm like, Jeff, you've never seen real battle either?
Oh, Jeff.
Calling him out.
Oh, that was a really good point, Garrett. Wow, that was so in depth. Next week is Jeff.
Yep.
A Jeff pick. Ooh.
So my pick. This is John. This one's for you. I know. I couldn't think of another movie to watch. So we are going to be watching Redline, which is an animated movie. Fun fact: this movie took 7 years to animate, and it is a work of art in every sense of the word. I think you guys are really gonna like it. I'm not gonna say too much about it, but it's an adventure. It's a visual masterpiece, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
I've seen this movie. I did not know that it took 7 years, but yeah, I've seen it. It's really good. I'm excited.
Where do you rent it? I don't see any.
Is it on Crunchy, maybe?
I don't think it's on Crunchyroll. I have it on Blu-ray, so I'm a little. I don't know how.
It's a little easy
How
for
you
you.
guys
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Just to tell our movie friends, our movie club with friends audience, we will be taking a week off of movie club because next movie club is Monday the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. So we'll give us 2 weeks to watch this movie, I assume.
It's a very good point. Okay.
So we will converse, but then again, the other Monday is the 31st. We might need to take this offline, movie club.
Well, it will be uploaded when it's uploaded. I'm a little behind in uploads, so this might not even come out in December. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, watch Red Line, and we'll see you next time. Say bye, everyone.
See ya. Bye, my name's John. Bye, my name's Jared.
Bye.